There's a hidden shift that happens in a creator's journey, a moment where the question is no longer how do I get views, but why do some channels multiply while others plateau? And the answer to that question is rarely found in surface level tactics. It lives deeper in the mechanics of perception, behavior, and amplification. Because viral growth is not just about being seen, it's about being understood, remembered, and repeatedly chosen. And one of the most underestimated contributors to this process is still sitting quietly in plain sight: the About section. Because here's the truth that most creators never fully grasp: virality is not an accident, it's a chain reaction. One viewer watches, engages, and signals value. The algorithm expands reach. New viewers arrive and the cycle repeats. But for that cycle to sustain, something critical has to happen. Those new viewers must quickly understand what your channel represents, otherwise the chain breaks. And this is where your About section becomes essential. It acts as the stabilizer that turns spikes into momentum. Think about the psychology of a new viewer encountering your channel during a sudden surge of views. They didn't search for you. They didn't plan to find you. They just landed there. In that moment, they're highly curious but also highly uncertain, and uncertainty kills conversion. Your About section has to eliminate that uncertainty instantly, giving them a clear, confident understanding of what they can expect if they stay. This is where audience triggers come into play. Specific signals that activate interest, trust, and action. One of the strongest triggers is clarity of outcome. When people know exactly what they'll gain from your content, they're far more likely to subscribe. Vague promises create hesitation, but clear outcomes create decisions. Your About section is where those outcomes should be defined with precision. Another powerful trigger is relatability, not in a generic sense, but in a targeted, intentional way. Your words should reflect the mindset, struggles, or goals of your ideal audience. When someone reads your About section and feels like it's describing them, a connection forms instantly, and that connection increases the likelihood of engagement, return visits, and long-term loyalty. But triggers alone are not enough. You also need reinforcement, because initial interest fades quickly if it's not supported by consistency. Your About section acts as a reinforcement mechanism. It confirms what the viewer experienced in your video and strengthens their belief that your channel is worth following. Without that reinforcement, even strong first impressions can fade. There's also an amplification effect at work here. When your messaging is clear and aligned, your audience begins to understand not just your content, but your identity. And when identity is clear, people can share it. They can recommend your channel to others, describe it in simple terms, and bring in new viewers who are already aligned. This is how organic growth accelerates, not just through the algorithm, but through people. But here's the critical part. This only happens when your channel is easy to define. If someone can't quickly explain what your channel is about, they're less likely to share it. And your About section plays a key role in making that definition simple, clear, and memorable. Another layer of viral growth is trust velocity, the speed at which a viewer goes from discovering your channel to believing in it. The faster this happens, the more likely they are to engage deeply. Your About section can significantly increase this speed by removing doubts, clarifying value, and reinforcing credibility in a matter of seconds. And then there's the concept of expectation loops, similar to retention loops, but focused on growth. When viewers subscribe based on a clear expectation, and that expectation is consistently met, they become repeat viewers. Repeat viewers increase engagement. Increased engagement signals value to the algorithm, and the cycle continues. Your About section is where those expectations are first defined. But all of this requires precision, not perfection, but intentional clarity. Every word in your About section should serve a purpose, either to clarify, to connect, or to guide. Anything unnecessary creates noise, and noise reduces impact. In a platform driven by attention, clarity always wins. And finally, there's the long-term compounding effect. When your About section consistently attracts the right audience, reinforces the right expectations, and supports the right perception, your growth becomes exponential. Not in a sudden, explosive way, but in a steady, accelerating pattern. Each new viewer is more aligned than the last, each interaction more meaningful, each signal stronger. Because in the end, viral success isn't just about reaching millions, it's about building a system that can handle that reach without collapsing. And your About section, when designed with intention, becomes one of the key components of that system, quietly supporting, guiding, and amplifying everything you create. And when that system is in place, growth doesn't just happen once. It repeats, evolves, and scales in a way that feels almost effortless, but is actually the result of deep, deliberate strategy working behind the scenes. If you want, I can continue. Part 9: Final Advanced Layers, Master Level Positioning, Psychological Dominance, and Long-Term Channel Authority. In the same cinematic style.